Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really sophisticated system of governance, one that pretty much challenges everything we think we know about where power comes from and who should really be in charge. So let's just start with a basic question. Who really holds the power in a nation? I mean, when you picture a leader, who comes to mind? What does that power structure look like in your head? Go ahead, picture it. And just keep that image in your mind for a bit. Because to find a different kind of answer to that question, we need to look at a system that existed long before our modern nations, one that centered power in a completely different, and for many of us, a totally unexpected way. You know, most of us are taught this one story about power. It's a pyramid, right? There's a ruler or a president at the very top, and all the decisions flow down from there. But that's not the only story out there, and it's definitely not the only model that's ever worked. Okay, so let's really get into this alternative model. To properly understand it, we first have to clear up some pretty big misconceptions and nail down what we're actually talking about. So, what is an Indigenous matriarchy? Well, this isn't just some vague idea. It's a very specific, very structured form of government. The two key concepts you really want to hang on to here are balance and community well-being, because those were the ultimate goals of this entire political system. And here is where we need to hit the pause button, because this is a fundamental misunderstanding. When we hear the word matriarchy, a lot of us just picture a simple power flip, a world where women dominate men, the same way men have dominated women. But that's not what this was, not at all. The reality was a system designed to prevent domination by anyone. The whole philosophy of power was just different. So who were the key players in this system? Well, let's meet the clan mothers. They were the central pillar, the absolute bedrock that this entire structure of governance was built on. They weren't just figureheads or advisors. No way. They were the literal political and spiritual heart of their nations. Their authority wasn't symbolic, it was real, it was respected, and it was absolutely fundamental to how their societies worked. And this is what's truly fascinating. Just the sheer breadth of their influence. I mean, look at these responsibilities. The clan mothers selected the male chiefs. And if a chief failed in his duties or acted rashly, they could remove him. They held veto power over declarations of war, a built-in check to make sure conflict was always the last resort. They managed resources, oversaw spiritual life, and they were the main mediators, solving problems before they could tear the community apart. This wasn't just power, it was a profound, profound responsibility. Now let's see how all this came together to create a system of checks and balances that's honestly remarkable. It wasn't about one group having power over another. It was all about distributing power among different groups to keep everything stable. So the crucial point here is that power was divided. It was interdependent. The clan mothers held the ultimate authority. They had the power to appoint, to veto, and to depose. The chiefs, they had the public-facing role. They were the speakers, the representatives. But, and this is the big but, their authority was never their own. It was granted to them, and they served at the discretion of the women, which made sure they were always accountable to the very people they served. This entire system was designed with one very specific goal in mind: to prevent tyranny. By weaving power and responsibility together like this, no single person, not a chief, not even a clan mother, could ever get absolute authority. The goal was never to consolidate power, it was to preserve balance for the good of everyone. Okay, so you might be thinking, this is fascinating history, but why does any of this matter to us now, here in the 21st century? Well, because it offers a powerful and proven alternative to how we usually think about leadership and power. Maybe the key takeaway is that effective government doesn't have to be a zero-sum game of winners and losers. This model shows us that leadership can be rooted in stewardship, which is really just about caring for the community, instead of being rooted in personal ambition. It's about building consensus and thinking about the long-term health of the people, not just about short-term political wins. And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? In a world facing some pretty complex challenges that demand cooperation and a long-term vision, maybe the most innovative solutions aren't found by looking forward, but by looking back. Back to a system built not on who rules, but on how to maintain balance for everyone.